Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. Today we are hopefully going to save Jeb from the moon. So in between episodes I ran some contracts, we got up to 188 science, so we now have enough to pick up this tech tree, which is going to give us 3 types of modules that people can sit in. One of them is what we are hopefully going to be using, so it should be this guy right here, the lander can. So we can fit 2 people in this thing, hopefully, right? And so we're going to leave our engineer here. We're going to risk taking our other pilot, and hopefully we're able to land with her, pick up Jeb, fly back, and we're not about to just strand both of our pilots on the moon. That would be not ideal. So there is one thing I want to see real quick before we start building out a rocket just for this. I want to see if it'll fit on our other mundane rocket that we sent Jeb over there with. So it should be the tier 2 or the Mark II. And if we take the bottom half of this rocket and just set it aside, we're going to junk the whole top half of this. Can we put this on this rocket, or is it too big? It looks like it's fatter than the rocket is, and it is indeed fatter than the rocket base itself. So we can try and fix that a little bit, right? Because we just need this to go down and land. So we could use, are these guys massive? They are. How much do they weigh? 4.5 tons. These guys are just under a ton. Those are really tiny. Oh boy. All right, maybe I can work with this. I'm going to try and get something going with the lander bit, and then we can hopefully reuse the whole rocket base from the last mission here, and we don't have to build out a whole nother one. So give me just a moment here. Well, as you can see, I scrapped the other capsule because we don't have a heat shield that fits on the bottom of it. So I went ahead and went with the normal thing that we've been using here for a little while, which is the double capsule. I've also gone with 3 of these kind of medium tanks that we have with the little engines on them. There's also a whole lot of landing gear on there as well to hopefully keep us from tipping over. If we tip over with this person, then they're also going to be stranded on the moon, and then we have to start buying astronauts from the complex over there. So we want to try and avoid that as best we can. I also have 1 battery underneath both of the aerodynamic cone things here, just so we have some extra battery power, as well as an antenna on the backside here, so that if we are close enough to the other aircraft, maybe we can use this antenna to transmit the data that we got, unless it has to be on that specific aircraft, in which case it's not going to work regardless, but at least we have that as a backup if we end up crashing again, and we can probably just transmit the, I think it was 20 science or whatever it was from the surface there. So we're going to give this a run. We should have the same exact bottom bit here, but we should be able to make it back there unless we're much heavier than we were previously, which everything seems good. We are going up in speed. We are moving fairly good. So I'm just going to go through the motions here, see if we can actually get back over there, and hopefully we have a landing in just a moment. So I accidentally had something staged incorrectly here. I was supposed to separate the white rocket from the orange rocket, but instead I separated the entire thing from our lander. So I got to double check that in our staging menu here. We also didn't quite make it into orbit. I need to separate this stuff immediately here because we are going through the thing here. So let's separate that. Let's also throw ourselves into retrograde so we don't kill our astronaut here. And yeah, we need a relaunch. I'm also going to probably throw the other 2 engines that are gimbally engines on the side of this thing. I'm going to swap those out for the thrust-heavy rockets, or the thrust-heavy engines, because the gimbally ones kind of aren't enough to get us into orbit. So I'm going to try a launch with those. Maybe it works because the whole lander that we have right now is definitely heavier than what we were dealing with on the last launch. Well, this rescue mission is not off to a good start. We are currently falling back into the atmosphere of Kerbal, so not good. I can't seem to get this vehicle into orbit, so I think I'm going to change the fuel tanks and see if that works a little bit better. I'm going to put 4 of the ones that are like half the size of this and see if the same launch vehicle works for that, because right now we get to a certain point, we start losing speed, and then we kind of gain the speed back, then we lose the speed again. So I'm going to see if by changing out the tanks we get a little less weight to deal with, and hopefully that vehicle works a little bit better. But let's go ahead and kill our engines and separate everything so that we don't drag ourselves down faster than we need to be going. Alrighty, well, hopefully 3rd time's the charm here. If this also does not work, then we're just going to scrap this whole rocket and build a new one from scratch using the other fuel tanks that we have, the bigger fuel tanks with the bigger engines, and that is most likely going to get us up and out. So we're going to give this one final try here. We have full thrust, full SAS. Let's get up and out of here. Hopefully we are climbing, I want to say, about the same speed, maybe a little bit quicker. So going off of that, I would wager to guess that this is also probably not going to work. Alrighty, so we are finally in orbit around Kerbal. Now we just have to try and actually get to the moon with the fuel that we have left over. I don't want to have to touch any of the lander fuel if I can avoid it. So let me get to work with the maneuvers here and see if I can get something that is going to connect us over to the moon. Alright, so we got into an orbit around the moon. We did have to tap into our fuel for our lander just a little bit here. So I'm hoping that we have enough to land as well as take off and get back to Kerbal. If we don't, then we're either going to be stranding Valentina here on the moon with Jeb, or we're going to strand both of them in space because we're going to run out of fuel. So fingers crossed we don't have either of that happen and we get them back to Kerbal nice and safely here, but we need to set up some maneuvers to be able to land near Jeb. So we want to, I guess, plop a maneuver here and see how that works out for us. We want to pull the thing down, and that's not far enough, so we need to go a little more and then pull it again. And let's see, let's pull it a little bit more. And there we go. We are landing on the moon with that. Let's expand it out just a smidge here. And from here, it looks kind of good. It looks like we're landing right on top of Jeb, maybe. Maybe we go a little to the left there, and it looks like we're going slightly past them. So we'll see how that works out. Let me rotate on over to our maneuver and warp on over to probably about here. And it looks like we're only burning for 8 seconds as well. So that's not really going to chew into too much of our fuel, so that's a good sign. And it looks like I forgot a crucial step, and that's to adjust for the rotation of the object that we are landing on. So a moment ago, this thing was going past Jeb. It is now way behind him. So the moon is rotating clockwise or counterclockwise to us. So we want our landing zone to be somewhere on this side so that we can hopefully try and land close to him. So what if we adjust this thing a little bit so that way we're not landing right away? And we're going to be 20,000 meters. I'm going to get like 30,000 meters because I don't know if there's anything that high. I guess there's not going to be anything that high, is there? So let's go a little bit lower. We are at 28,000. It looks like we are going to be nice and clear of the surface. So I'm going to try that. And then when we get close to Jeb, I am just going to counter burn and hopefully land straight down. That would be the most optimal thing that I could think to do. We are locked into our maneuver here, so all we got to do is wait until we can burn, and hopefully this all works out nicely and we get both of these guys back today, or we lose one of them on landing here. So fingers crossed this all works. So we're just about above him right now. I'm going to try and burn counterclockwise here to try and pull our landing zone somewhere right here, right ahead of him, because he's going that way anyways. So ideally, in the time that it takes us to go down, we are going to land close to him at least. So we are also just off kilter a smidge. Is there any way for me to fix that? We are, how much height do we have? 26,000. We don't have a whole lot of time to play here. Let's try and pull this down a little bit so that we are landing close to him. We gotta spin ourselves to the thing. Come on, we ain't got time for this. Disable counter burn, please. And let's burn a little bit, see if that spins our thing. It is indeed. Good. Let's go right about there. And now all we got to do is make sure that we land on our legs and not tip over. If we tip over, this person's also going to be stranded, which doesn't do us any favors. And for the most part, it doesn't really look like we have all that much sideways momentum. We have a little bit kind of gliding us to the right still, but it's not super terrible. So once we get to about 10,000 meters, I'm going to start firing the engines to try and sort ourselves out here. And hopefully I don't go overboard with it and flip us over. If I flip us over, we're dead. If I tip us over, we're stuck on the moon. So both of those scenarios are not what we want to have happen here. All right, well, hopefully we stay on our landing legs and we don't tip over. We are going just fast enough where we should be safe with landing. Come on. Ooh, oh, hey. It worked. It worked. We didn't tip over. We're only 1,000 kilometers or 1,000 meters away from Jeb. This was way better than I could have hoped for. Now with Jeb over here, am I able to take the box that has all of our science stuff in it? Is that something that I can carry? I cannot. Dang it, that would have been so good. All right, well, anyways, I'm going to be trekking across the moon surface here for the next couple of minutes until we get there. I can also jetpack, can I? I can jetpack, right? Yeah, I can. Okay, let me disable SAS, get a little movement going here, and make this a little bit quicker on ourselves, hopefully here. All right, we are here. That is amazing. So this guy should also have an EVA report already, but I'm just going to do another one just in case. And now comes the fun part of trying to get ourselves into... Oh, wow. That was a big jump. We should be able to just get right into there then. Enable SAS a little bit. Go this way. And I'm going to need a grab, which is F, not G or B, whatever I was hitting. And there we go. Let's get him in there. We've got our ground sample. Let's also do a crew report. And I'm also going to have Valentina get out and do a ground sample as well. We might as well, just in case that allows us to get a little bit more out of it. And I completely missed it, but we can do a surface sample now. I didn't realize we unlocked that. That's 120 science. All right. Yep, we're definitely doing that. I'm going to throw Jeb back out here as well and make him grab one. All right. Well, hopefully we're going to have enough thrust to get us back home. So let's hope for the best here. I'm going to use all the fuel that I have in these guys. Most likely. We're already at 27,000. Let's actually kill the engines and try and do this somewhat smartly. Throw ourselves back into an orbit around the moon and then try and stretch ourselves out across to the other orbital ring for Kerbal. That might be a little bit better to do. Oh, actually, we don't even have to throw ourselves into an orbit around the moon. We can just thrust our way out of the orbit and go back into Kerbal like that. So that's what we're going to do. It's only going to take us 42 seconds of a burn window to do so. So, I mean, that is very nice. Alrighty, we have made it safely back to Kerbal. So let's recover our vessel. We should have like 100 or 200 some odd science from that run as well. So this is going to be a fairly good run for the science here. We got 232 science. So yeah, that was very nice. I also need to just send a rocket out to the launch pad and have our people go do a surface sample from the area around the launch pad. I'm also probably going to do it around Kerbal again. Since we've been to several places already, we just have to go back and grab a surface sample. It's probably not going to be that much science, but it's going to probably be worth our time to do that. So we now have 263, and we can unlock some more stuff here. That is awesome. I would like to get this, because that's going to give us the RCS stuff, but it's also going to give us a new fuel tank, but it doesn't give us the RCS thrusters, which I thought that's what these things were, but they're not. So I need to try and decide on something that we actually want to get. This is going to be nice, but again, we can't really use it because we don't have the thrusters. These solar panels are going to come in handy, so I unlock them. That way we don't have to carry so many batteries with us. I may have gone a little overboard. I only had 4 battery packs with us, but we never really went through the charge on them. So that was just some extra weight we were carrying around. This is more solar panels and stuff, more power stuff. Okay, we have 173 points left over. We can go with this one, but I don't think we need that just yet. So let's go with, this is more decouplers. This is airplane stuff. I don't really want to deal with that. We got landing stuff. Ooh, this is the bigger heat shield as well, I believe. So we would have to unlock... Is it both of these ones to get to that? I think so. Let's unlock this one. And nope, we only needed to do one. Okay, cool. So this is going to give us the bigger heat shield so we can use the other landing pad thing, or pod thing that we just got. It's also going to give us a parachute, some more landing legs, a escape system. Ooh, that's kind of cool. And then some landing gear for a plane, which we haven't really messed with those too much yet. I do want to build a shuttle at some point. But anyways, that is going to be it for today's episode. Next episode, we'll try and mount an actual expedition to try and get some science from the moon. And ideally, we're not going to strand anybody everybody there. We want to land and take off again. So now that we have this heat shield, we can actually use this lander can to get back if we want to do that. So that is something that is going to be very nice. I'm just going to send this over to the launch pad real quick. And then let's see if we can grab a ground sample from here. We can, for only 9 science. All right, well, I'm not going to waste my time going around Kerbal then, grabbing science. If it's going to be like mid 10-digit numbers right now, I'm not too stressed about grabbing that stuff. Later on, I will. But for right now, I think we're okay with not doing that. But anyways, that is going to be it for today's episode. Next episode, we'll try and mount an actual science thing, like I said, and see how well that pans out for us. But for right now, that's going to be it. So I hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.